Hello, I'm Chris Abbott from C64audio.com, and you're listening to the Scene World podcast. And also, I'm Thing on the Spring, and I approve of this message.
Hey everyone, it's the Scene World podcast. My name's AJ, that's Joerg over there.
Hello, fans.
Hello. In a minute, we are talking to Polaria Poyon. Poyon?
Exactly.
Yes.
And she's known for being a composer on the Master System and Game Gear, which is unique because there are not many Master System composers.
Yeah, though she also has dabbled in Genesis and C64 and other stuff, although she prefers the Master System.
Exactly.
So that is a cool interview that'll be coming up shortly. Before that, we have we're in doing audio again. This feels weird because I'm so used to doing video podcasts lately. But
anyway, perhaps you can still see the video version on YouTube without seeing our faces. So
yes.
It's just something we may make up. Anyway, I don't have much news today because we had so many last time. But, well, the Takoshin game from Min Becker actually got an update, well, either on Steam or on Android, depending on what platform you use. And it's coming with a new expansion pack. With a new
indeed.
Level pack, I would say. New world.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be harder, but for me, it feels easier for some reason. Because of the sheeps, I guess.
Yeah.
That will be the only spoiler to tell you. The other news is that the spiritual successor of Outrun called Slipstream, which we reported about like 6 years ago, that originally was a Kickstarter, actually announced to come on consoles soon. So it's making the next step.
Okay.
Which
cool.
is nice to see a game from a single Brazilian developer to be so successful to make the jump to the next gen consoles.
Yeah.
So that's nice. And last but not least, the third news is that Intellivision released an unboxing of the PAL version of the Amico.
I saw this.
Before shipping it to Hans Ippisch.
Yes, I saw this. It was interesting because it was all over the social media for Intellivision, posted by just random people that were fans. But the unboxing was actually by Intellivision.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Well, it's not how you usually do an unboxing.
It is not. It is not normally how you do it.
Yeah. But Intellivision never does things the way you are supposed to do it, which we learned when we interviewed Hans Ippisch and Tommy Tellerico.
Yes.
Anyway.
And then did you say that they sent that to Hans after they unboxed it? The same unit?
That's the first sentence in the unboxing, actually.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay.
That's not hearsay. It's actually what it's said in the unboxing video.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's unique in its way that the HQ is America and they're making an unboxing of the European version. Like, hooray. Which also means that it's the same unit. So obviously it has a multi-frequency power supply.
Yeah.
But otherwise it wouldn't make sense, right?
Are they making the same? They're not making a NTSC Impel unit?
Oh, I mean, definitely you have to because the HDMI is different
right.
in both regions.
That's what I'm saying.
But perhaps you can switch it like the Mini, like the C64 Mini, and perhaps it's a multi-frequency power supply.
Interesting.
I mean, for example, most devices in Brazil are this way because Brazil has both 110 volts and 60 hearts and 220 50 hearts. So
Right. Have you heard? Speaking of switching like that, have you heard of the VIC-2 Kawari?
Never.
This is a project which is currently on hold because of supply shortages and whatnot. It's a hardware project. It's a hardware replacement for the VIC-2 chip for the 64. It's a little PCB
Nice.
with an FPGA that just pops into the socket of your C64, any board, short board, long board, whatever. You can configure which chip it emulates.
So you can make a Pratt box unit without the color bleeding.
Right,
Vic.
exactly. Yes.
Nice. Nice.
There's no VSP bug. It's got a configurable color palette for an 18-bit color space.
This bug actually is used by games like Mayhem and Monsterland.
Right.
So actually, it's good to have this bug.
But it can software switch between NTSC and PAL, and there's also a hardware switch for NTSC PAL switching when you do a cold boot.
Ooh.
So I think with that you don't actually need like the clock circuit, because this takes over that as well.
You don't need that anyway.
Right. And then
because you can get it IC based.
Right.
I actually did that. You remember?
Mm-hmm.
I used the ICs from Jens Schoenfeld from individual computers, and made a hybrid.
Yeah, right.
In a way that I have an NTSC Pratt bin running on 220 volts, and 50 hertz.
Yeah, and it also
which makes some games crash that rely on the RTC.
Right.
But most games work.
Yeah, but there's also it also comes with there's an 80 column mode and some new graphics modes. And the last thing that I saw, they had developed a Novaterm 80 column driver for the Novaterm terminal program for the C64. So instead of the soft 80, you'd actually have like 80 column like you'd have on a 128.
Nice.
Which is pretty awesome. Like if there's a YouTube channel where they show it, and like they have it really like they do have the ability to, like, there are new graphics modes and the ability to pick from a much higher palette and do all this stuff. So it's really actually pretty cool. But again, there's a Patreon you can donate, but it is on hold, and it is still in the prototype phase, and I don't believe that he was talking about... there was some question about whether he was actually going to make this available for mass sale, or whether he was just going to put the schematics out for people to make themselves. So, but it is a thing. We'll put a link in the description to where people can check it out. It looks pretty awesome. But yeah, that's that just when you mentioned, when we were talking about swapping between PAL and NTSC, that just reminded me of the fact that chip will allow you to swap your machine between PAL and NTSC on the fly.
Awesome.
Without any other hardware or anything like that. Everything, the music slows down or speeds up or whatever, everything changes, and you can do it right in the middle of a game. Or a demo or whatever. It's actually pretty awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. I guess it's my turn to do some news.
Well, you already started. I got mine.
Yeah. So there was an Amiga game called Citadel that was released in 1995, and the original developers of this game have released an updated. They refer to it as a remonstered edition. In 2022, and the reason for the remaster is for the A500 Mini, but and it's included in the A500 Mini's bonus USB games pack, of which currently this is the only game in it. But you can download it, and it'll also work on a variety of regular Amigas, from the A500 all the way to the 4000.
Nice.
The one caveat is that you need a WDH load installed in order to use it, because it makes full use of that. But otherwise, it's available on their website, and you can download it for free. So that's there. And the last bit of news, and it's like a Doom clone. It's an Amiga Doom kind of game, which, you know, they tried to do that quite a bit in the early 90s because Doom was the thing.
Yeah, but what you forget actually is that in its later years, the Amiga, and you never tell about that, but the Amiga actually received their official
Yes, they did.
Doom
Yes, they
conversion later on.
Yeah, well, that's because they released the source for Doom, so lots of machines got it. But the problem with the Amiga at the time was that the Amiga was not suited for that kind of gameplay. The Amiga was built for platform games mostly. That's kind of what it was designed for, and then the FPS came along and really kind of shook things up, and the Amiga just wasn't made for it.
But I guess the Amiga version plays quite good.
You need a pretty strong Amiga to play Doom. Like your bog standard A500 or A600 or even an A1200 is not gonna be able to play Doom in anything more than like a post-stamp sized window. So, yeah, I mean, but on a decently equipped machine, yeah, it can. And it also helps to have extra graphics and stuff. You know, like they made graphics cards for the Amiga. That helps. And my final bit of news is kind of sad. Is a retro computer museum in Mariupol, Ukraine, beloved by children, was attacked by Russia during the current war.
Wow.
The museum is called IT 8-bit. It held over 120 examples of computer and game technology from the last century. It was estimated that about 1,500 people visited the free museum every year before it had to close during the pandemic. And the building that housed the museum, like a lot of other buildings in the city, was bombed on March 15th. And Dmitry Cherapanov, the guy who runs it, he believes that any of the machines that weren't destroyed by the bombing were likely just looted because of the situation. He does plan to keep the museum's website going, and he is currently doing a podcast about retro computers called Radio IT 8-bit. So,
which is probably in Ukrainian rather than English.
You never know. It could be either or. The website is in Ukrainian, but
where did you get the news piece then from?
I just saw it. It was just a piece of news that popped up in my news feed, and it shows the guy. It was an NPR. The article I got it from was on NPR.
NPR doesn't ring a bell for me.
NPR? It's
NPR?
It's National Public Radio, I believe.
Okay. So nothing really retro specific.
Right, yeah, no. But, it's got a picture of of the guy that runs it, standing there with an Amiga 1200, and that caught my eye. I was like, oh, this is Commodore stuff too. And there's a picture of kids playing. There's a C64, an Atari 800 XL, a couple other things, So I mean, it did have the machines that we not random Soviet machines that we'd never heard of, but like stuff that real stuff. And it's a shame. It's a real shame that it was. We'll put a link to the NPR article as well as a link to the podcast and the IT 8-bit museum website.
Well, cultural things are always getting destroyed in a war, and that's like the super sad thing, because it's unrecoverable stuff.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Often it's paintings or just historical things, but this is probably the first time that it's like like stuff that we have used, like C64s and things that.
Well, I guess it's not the first time, but the first time we hear about it.
Right. Yes. So, again, we put our we put our support with the Ukraine, and we hope that this ends quickly, and that Russia stops doing their nonsense. But I don't know.
Well, it's not the country of Russia; it's one person actually.
Yes.
Which is something we should stress, because
obviously the people of Russia are not to blame for any of this. Yeah,
exactly, and that is. I mean, there is this Russian YouTuber called Roman by the channel No Fackers, and he is talking about that constantly because he moved now to Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
To escape.
Yeah.
And he said that he gets a lot of comments and messages of people blaming him and stuff, and like acting like he could stop the war single-handedly. Which of course one person.
It is you see it a lot. People ask on I was watching a news report in which they were asking Russian citizens on the street what they thought about this, and there's a stark contrast. Some people are I'm against the war, I don't believe in it, and then other people are they say they either don't want to comment, or it's Putin knows what he's doing and I trust him, and the fear in their eyes is like, it's palpable. You can tell that they're afraid of saying the wrong thing and being seen on TV, and it's like that's just it's heartbreaking, really. It's like that's no way to live. There's no way to live where you for all the problems that the United States has and other places in the world, we're open. I can criticize my leaders and not worry about being disappeared.
Yeah. And the funniest thing is, this episode, like all our other episodes, is also in Yandex podcasts hosted.
Well, we hope it is. We hope it is. I mean, we may have just shot ourselves in the foot there by talking about.
I never wanted to make this podcast too political. To be honest.
Yeah, no, I don't. I try to stay away from politics as well, but there are certain things in which it's kind of important to take a stand and to have an opinion. And I don't want to sit here.
We had the same situation once when we spoke about Apple, and I was worried about becoming delisted on iTunes.
Right, but I don't want to sit here and I mean, we're fairly flippant and we're having a good time talking about retro stuff, and game music and stuff and demos and things like that. But people are dying in the real world, and that's not something that I feel like it's important for people to understand that we know, and it's not that we do care. We do. It does affect us, and it does. It is important to us. And it's also important to us that we kind of keep this going and keep doing what we're doing and provide some kind of entertainment, even though the world is falling apart around us.
So it's good that everything we did related to Russia, like our interview, is already passed.
Yeah, it's good that we already talked to Yandex, because
now
I don't know if we'd be able to do that. Yeah. And now we'd be like, so the Ukraine, and they just hang up on us instantly. Actually, I'm sorry, we'd be like, so Ukraine, and then they'd hang up on us immediately.
I really doubt that they will ever notice that we spoke about this in the news section.
You never know. We hope not, but it doesn't. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. You know what? If Russia bans us from the country because we voiced an opinion, then fuck them. I don't care. That's how I feel about that. And again, it's not the Russian people that are responsible for any of this. And granted, if we get banned from Russia, it's the Russian people that aren't going to be able to hear us, because I doubt that the Russian oligarchs and Vladimir Putin are spending too much time listening to the Scene World podcast. But if you are from Russia and you happen to be listening to this, sir, VPNs are a thing that exist and lets you get around, get around certain things, like countrywide bans.
Yes, and well, I can also say that I figured out like a few weeks ago that.
And for that reason, our new sponsor, ExpressVPN. No, that's nice.
Or Tunnel Bear or whatever. Yeah. No. But I can say that now Google Project Shield is also working in China. Mm-hmm. That's news.
Yeah, that is news.
Because when we started using that, we weren't reachable via China anymore.
Yeah.
Now that is fixed.
Right. Yeah. That's cool. So
yeah.
Now that we've dragged this to a screeching halt with the sadness of what is the conflict in Ukraine, let's bring this back up to let's make this entertaining again and talk to Polaria about what she's doing.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay. So we have another podcast episode today, and again another guest. But I also have this time some co-moderators. Dennis, he's returning because he is our music expert for console music, and
cool.
AJ.
Yep.
And me, Joerg.
I'm not an expert. I'm just a drummer.
Right. Anyway, I can only drum on my table. That's the only music skill I have. Anyway, so as a guest today we have Polaria Poyon, who is basically known for composing music on the Sega Master System / the Game Gear. So hello, Polaria. Nice to have you.
Hi. It's great to be on here.
Great. Yes. Well. You haven't been on much interviews in the past. I've seen there was one like earlier this year on YouTube.
Oh yeah, the one with 3X Blast, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So nice to have you here. Well, as always, we start with our guests in that we ask, how did you get involved in retro and finally making music for Master System / Game Gear? How did it start? What was your first touching point?
Well, the thing is, like, the Master System has always been a console I really liked. It's kind of like my favorite And I actually did some other sound chips before I started doing that. I did some Nintendo stuff, but once I found out there were actually tools you could use to make like Master System sort of stuff, I was like, wow, like I have to do this now. So I just started doing that, and I guess I just got really good at it.
And what did you do first? I mean, did you get your first console as a birthday gift, or how did it start for you?
I actually got a Master System when I was like 16. I was kind of like looking at some of the older Sega stuff because that's what I was interested in at the time. I just ended up really liking it.
That means, as a child, you have been in touch with the Master System when it was already retro, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
What was the decision making that you said you want to make music for video games?
Well, I always kind of liked music in general. I always wanted to make music. And I also really liked sort of retro video games. So that was kind of like the logical conclusion, I guess. I should make chiptune.
So, since when are you making chip music?
Oh, when did I start?
Yes.
It was probably... I think I first started making stuff when I was 13, but I didn't get serious about it until I was like 16, I think.
So let's talk about what's actually your process of making music. I mean, I saw on Twitter, for example, that you are even doing music on commission. So
yes, I do.
You are kind of taking it as a professional touch, not just as a hobby in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it is my main source of income. So yeah, I do it professionally. I guess my process is sort of whatever happens. I mean, sometimes I write stuff on a keyboard, and other times I just like come up with stuff in my head. It really just kind of depends on how I'm feeling that day.
So that means you are not composing on the Master System directly, but as I said, first on a keyboard, on a piano or something?
Yeah, I write it out first, and then I like convert it into something that the Master System can recognize. I actually like do some stuff on the tracker and stuff like that. Yes.
So, Polaria, do you use Devil Mask for your tracking purposes, or?
It really depends. I mean, so mostly I do use Devil Mask when it's like for like homebrew stuff, but sometimes I like to do like Snevin Tracker, which is another tracker when I'm doing more like a sort of like fan game stuff. I mean, that's always pretty fun to do.
Interesting, cool.
I mean, I'm not an expert, but perhaps Dennis can back me up. Is that just my impression, or is the Master System a system that not many people nowadays make music on?
No, you're right, and the reason for that is because it's a very difficult sound chip to actually make music for. It's very limited, like even for its time. Like it's very difficult to actually make anything sound good on it.
Indeed.
And yet, it was always one of my favorite sound chips. Like, I love the way the Sega sounded.
Yeah, I like it too. I think it's a very cool sound.
It's only a PSG sound chip, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It has like 3 square waves, and it has like a noise channel.
No samples, no.
No samples.
Yeah. That makes it pretty difficult, of course. But
yeah.
You are. What is your way of dealing with these limitations when you're writing music? Do you write music? Do you use chords? Do you use mono sound melodies? Or how do you deal with these limitations?
Well, the thing is, I've gotten to a point where I've made music on it so much, I don't really think about it anymore. So I honestly couldn't tell you how I do it. It just sort of comes naturally at this point.
Well, that's what happens, You get used to.
Yeah.
You get used to doing it. Yeah.
Well, I find it interesting that somebody focuses on a platform that nowadays in the retro community not many people focus on. But I see, as I said, it was your first console as a child. I see that's also like you are emotionally connected to the Master System, and that is probably why it was also your first choice of making music on, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, it wasn't my first console. I mean, I did have consoles before, but that was like the first console I really gravitated towards. Mm-hmm. Like, I definitely took a lot of interest in it.
And how is it compared to the Game Gear? I mean, as far as I know, it's
the same.
People basically say it's the same.
They're the same thing, aren't they?
They're pretty much the same. The only difference is that Game Gear has hard painting stereo. That's pretty much it.
Oh, that's interesting. I always thought that only the amount of color is different. Okay.
The amount of color? What?
Yeah.
Game Gear has like a ridiculous amount of colors compared to a lot of consoles at the time. It was like 12,000 or something, if I remember correctly.
Yes, that is basically why you can buy an adapter and play Master System games on the Game Gear, but not the other way around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because like the Master System only has like 64 colors, if I remember correctly. It's like it's a very stark comparison.
Exactly. And now, if I understood you correctly, you say that the Master System has mono and the Game Gear has stereo, right?
Yeah, yes, that's true. Yes.
Huh.
Fascinating. Well, that's Well, that was a big thing with the handhelds because the original Game Boy was stereo as well.
Yes, it was.
So I mean, as an expert, how do you make sure that if you have a piece of music made for the Game Gear, probably you don't, but how does it transform if you have a music piece made for the Game Gear? It probably sounds different on the Master System because you only have mono, not stereo. I guess it's kind of mixing the two sound channels together.
If you don't use stereo, then it sounds exactly the same. But if you're designing something specifically for stereo on the Game Gear, then yeah, it's not going to sound quite as good on a mixing level, at least.
So do you use a lot of stereo effects, or do you prefer to write your music in mono? Or
I prefer to write stuff in mono, but if stereo is an option, I do like to utilize it.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
I mean, if you look on your SoundCloud, the thing is you are really melodic, so you are not kind of doing the techno stuff or something. At least that's what I'm gathering. You are more a composer making melodic sounds.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah.
Well, especially the pieces I liked is Burning Force and Demon Soul.
Yeah, those are really fun to work on. I think I did one of those for Two Minds, like Ichigo, if you know who he is. Like he does a lot of like Master System homebrew stuff.
Ah, okay. You said earlier that you are doing this for a living. Does that really give enough income? I mean, there are other people who did it for a living. I mean, Dennis, for example, he's doing it for a living. But there were others like Tronimal, for example, who is a known Game Boy composer, and he kind of stopped it because he said, when I interviewed him, that it didn't give enough income. So I don't know. What's your difference? Why are you successful with it compared to others who tried?
Probably because it's a very niche thing that not a lot of people are doing. So there's kind of a market for it because there are a lot of people making like Game Gear and Master System homebrew stuff, but there's not a lot of people who can actually make music for it.
That's pretty cool. So I found it also very, very unique and very interesting to see that there are musicians for these platforms too. And there's actually not a lot of homebrew games for these systems too. It's very good to see that the amount of homebrew games increases in the future, and so always good to see new stuff on uncommon systems.
I mean,
yeah, of course.
I mean, is there any past project you can talk about? I mean, something that like you enjoyed the most?
Honestly, I have fun doing everything, so it's kind of like hard for me to like say like which one I enjoy doing the most because it was all very fun. I always like writing stuff for people, but I think whenever I do stuff for Ichigo, that's always really fun. Like because he gives me a lot of freedom in particular, so that's always a really fun thing to do.
I mean, I can only think back of when we interviewed other people, and some composers we spoke to were like, oh, when I listened back, I didn't have enough time, and with the knowledge I have now, I would do it different. So You never had this feeling that you would like to go back and make a music piece different nowadays?
Well, the thing is, it's really hard for me to imagine myself doing that because it's kind of like it already happened, if that makes sense. Like, there definitely have been one or two instances, I think, where I did not have enough time and I probably would have liked to redo some stuff. But, I mean, the game's already out, so it's like kind of like, I don't know. It wouldn't feel right, if that makes sense.
You also said you like to work with people who give you enough freedom. So, is it usually like they give you a specific theme you have to compose after?
Usually they'll give me a particular idea or sound they want, and I'll try to follow that. But I usually have the most fun when people tell me, like, just do whatever you want. I don't really care.
That's the best for every musician. I think musicians, it's really bad to put pressure on a musician and give him some too strict rules. I think that totally kills the creativity, and creative freedom is always good in such situations. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree.
Totally. So, did you ever think about putting out your music on actual cartridges? I don't know if there are any cartridge releases for the Game Gear of music albums for the Game Gear or the Master System. Did you ever think about putting out your music on a cartridge, maybe?
There have been actually talks with developers I've worked with in the past that wanted to do something like that, but it just never worked out because it'd just be kind of expensive. And I don't know if there would be a market for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think there is a good market for cartridge music releases. And
says the guy that does cartridge music releases.
Yes, yeah.
Well, I think there would be absolutely a good market for a Master System or Game Gear cartridge music album, and I definitely encourage you to do it because you make awesome music, and on a cartridge it would be the bomb, I think. And
thank you. Yeah, I have to consider it. Yeah.
What many people don't consider is there is a market where there are still new Master Systems being produced. Tectoy, for example, we interviewed in our podcast as well, and they are doing new models for the, well, they say for the poor favela families, but in reality,
the poor
there's
what
a
families?
Huge favela, you know?
No, I don't
Favela.
know.
Oh, that's the slums, you would say in English.
Oh, okay.
Slum places, but anyway, it turned out that even among the middle income class in Brazil, there are a lot of retro collectors. So basically, when you buy something from Brazil, they make it like 3 times more expensive because it's from Brazil. So I think if you branch out also to niche markets like Brazil, you would be able to sell a lot of copies if the price is right. I mean, of course, it has to be on a price point where people can afford it in a certain region. But
of course.
Yeah. But Dennis is right here, especially if you're selling in a country like Brazil where there are new Master Systems being produced, so people don't rely on the second-hand market only.
Oh yeah, that's actually something I wanted to ask about. Like, if these new Master Systems have cartridge slots, because I think from what I've read, a lot of the new Tectoy stuff are just sort of built-in games. Is that still the case?
It depends. It depends on the console. The Mega Drive, for example, that can also run Master System games because there's an adapter for it. Those are, they call it Mega Drive 2017 limited edition, and they come with a cartridge port. So.
Oh, that's really cool.
And actually, interestingly, when we interviewed the founder of Tectoy, he said that people went mad on him because it was a limited edition. So the limited edition actually became an unlimited edition.
That's really funny.
So you can still buy it nowadays from their homepage,
Oh, that's really cool.
there's definitely a market. I mean, most people have an adapter to play the Master System games on the Mega Drive. I have, at least.
Yeah.
I would instantly buy a Master System album.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll have to keep that in mind.
So even the Game Gear album.
Let's do it.
So see, you already have some customers here, just in case.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Dennis helped me. I'm not an expert in music. I mean, what else could we talk about?
I think, again, it's pretty interesting that you're doing stuff for the Master System. And as far as I know, the Mega Drive has a kind of built-in Master System sound chip. Is it right?
Yes, it does. Actually, all the entire Master System console is actually built into the Genesis, just so it can backwards play back games.
Indeed.
Really?
So I wonder, did you ever try to make music for the Mega Drive also, or do you stick to Master System? Or
I have made 1 or 2 Genesis tracks, but I didn't quite have as much as fun as I would doing Master System. It's kind of like what I enjoy doing the most.
I see. So you're definitely sticking to Master System, and that's your thing, yeah?
I do a lot of other sound chips as well, but like whenever people do approach me, it's usually about the Master System stuff because that's kind of what I'm known for.
Have you tried any SID stuff?
I did once, but the emulation was really not that good on Deflamask. I'm really wanting to try it on Furnace Tracker if you've heard about that.
That's true. SID simulation. You can argue with me about it.
Yeah.
I'm very picky when it comes to emulation. But yes, to refer back to Dennis. Yes, actually, from what I know, the adapter for playing Master Systems games on the Game Gear or Genesis, as it's called in USA, it's just a pin adapter. It's just a piece of plastic, actually.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It's just a pass-through.
Yes, and the reason why some games like Batman on the Master System are such high praised games is that there are not many games on the Mega Drive or Genesis that use the Master System sound chip for the Mega Drive music as well. So there are some games, like a couple, that use both sound chips inside.
You can do that?
Yeah, you can do that actually. Yes.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was much more of a common for Japanese composers to do that, but European and American composers really did not make a lot of use out of PSG at all. I guess they just didn't like it that much.
Oh.
For example, last year when I interviewed Tommy Tillerico, I asked him why you never did that, and he said like, "Oh, I did. Totally, I did." So sometimes it's just not known, but there are players on the PC where you can just enable or disable certain sound channels, and then you can hear which composer is using the Master System sound chip as well, or who isn't. So
was he telling the truth?
Pardon?
Was he telling the truth?
I didn't try with his music. No. Yeah, that's actually a thing.
Due diligence,
so basically, if you do a Master System game, you can basically play it on 3 consoles: the Master System itself, the Game Gear, and the Mega Drive, which is totally weird in a way, you know.
That's a big market. I think.
It is.
Yeah, but it's true there are not many games for this console compared to Game Boy games or so. So still has to grow in a way.
I always preferred the Sega Master System over the Nintendo. I don't know why.
I think it's a very hard comparison to make because, like, the thing is, the library of the NES is so much bigger than the Master System. There's like 1,000 games, whereas the Master System only has 300. So it's almost not even fair to compare them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can say from a German standpoint, at my childhood, the decision was Sega stuff 2 times more expensive.
Really?
Yes, here in Germany, I remember it. Somebody at school had a Game Gear, and everybody else had a Game Boy, and I could get 2 Game Boy games for the price he got 1 Game Gear game. I was like, oh my god.
We never
Indeed,
thought
yeah.
about that, because when I was a kid, we had, I had the C64, a friend of mine had a Nintendo, and another friend had a Sega Master System. So it was like, whose house do we want to torture ourselves at? So, it was kind of, I didn't buy any Sega stuff because I didn't have the Master System. My friend did.
No, here at least in Germany, I can't speak for other countries in Europe, but here in Germany, Sega was for the rich kids.
Oh, yeah, he was a rich kid, so that does make sense.
But wait, I remember the Master System wasn't a big success in Germany, and I remember I got it as a kid for 100 Deutschmark in a kind of sale in a Karstadt. It's a very popular sales brand here, and so actually this is my Master System story. I just got it because it was so cheap, and I couldn't afford a Mega Drive, and so I bought like a Master System after I sold 4 or 5 NES games on a flea market.
Oh, wow.
And then I was able to buy a Master System. And
come to think of it, my rich friend that had the Master System, I think he only had 2 games, because I only ever remember playing Space Harrier and freaking Fantasy Zone, which was infuriating. and the Snail in the Maze game you get when you turn it on without a cartridge.
There are also 3D glasses for the Master System, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they were.
Here's the thing. I have one of those rare PAL units that have the game missing.
The Snail game?
Yes.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. If you start up the Master System without a game in it, it'll do like the Sega thing, and then like you'll just have like the really cheap little game. It's just you're a snail going through a maze, and it was like,
I know,
that was my favorite game on the thing.
I know.
I could spend hours doing that.
And there are a few. Here's the story was, I was unemployed at the time, and my friend Boris Kressinger, he was like, "Hey, I have a spare one. Do you want to have it?" And then let's turn it on and see if it works. And then like, oh my god, it's one of those rare PAL ones that don't have the game in it. But never mind, I promised it to you, so here you have it. So.
So you got a faulty one.
This is how I got it. Got it for free.
Yeah.
That was the first time in my life I got something for free that was rare.
Well.
Nice.
Rare, and then it was lacking the best part of it.
And here's the bummer.
Yeah.
Here's the bummer. It's also the only version of the Master System that's incompatible with Tectoy games.
Oh, great! You got a real deal there, man.
I actually remember reading about that on SNES Power. There was some weird iteration of the Master System that couldn't play like Tectoy games. It was like the first version of it or something.
Exactly, and I got it. So I actually had to buy an adapter to play the Master System Tectoy games on the Mega Drive, because my Mega Drive version is one of those iterations that doesn't play Tectoy games and doesn't have the game.
Yeah, you got a real deal there, man.
Pretty cool.
But I got it for free, so who cares?
Yeah. Well, that you know why you got it for free.
So Polaria, are you also a game collector, I wonder?
Yes, I do. I actually collect for a lot of different systems.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the price explosion in the retro game market? It's ridiculous, isn't it?
I've honestly found it very infuriating, because I remember back when I was collecting all the Master System stuff, you could get complete in-box games for like $20, and you just can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think especially for Sega games, the market just went totally nuts in the last couple of years, and here in Germany, like Mega Drive games are getting ridiculously expensive, and I don't know. This is probably the best investment opportunity for some investors. Or
well,
I could never sell my games because I like having them too much.
I'm the same. I would rather sell a liver than selling my games.
Same with me. Same with me.
Yeah.
Same with me.
But I made this great investment once that I bought Assess, the most rarest Game Boy game, 4 weeks before the pandemic happened, and then the price quadrupled. And like, wow, that was a good investment. But basically, I also
it's only a good investment if you sell it again while the price is still high. Once the pandemic is over and the prices drop again, investment is no longer any good.
In the last 12 years, the prices never dropped.
Yeah.
I've never seen the retro prices dropping at any point.
No, I agree with that. I've never really seen games drop in price either. I feel like they've only steadily increased.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, hey.
Forget the share market, buy retro games.
Yeah.
Yeah. True. No. But here's the thing. My point is, I don't know if you guys agree, but my point is that why should I stop collecting because old games are getting more expensive? Now that's leaving me more opportunity to buy new games. For example, games that have Polaria's music in it.
Yeah.
So just to make a point here. So if you can't buy the old games because they are getting more expensive, don't stop collecting, but rather support new games that are going to be released,
Absolutely.
There's something I would recommend to a lot of people is just get an EverDrive, but you can't even do that anymore.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, yeah. Do you know what happened to Chris? He can't produce EverDrives anymore because he's in Ukraine.
Indeed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So sad to hear that he had to kind of cancel his whole business, and I think he fled from the Ukraine. Did he make it?
Yeah, he's in Spain right now, and he seems to be doing okay, which is good.
Okay, that's
good
very
to
hear that he's okay, and but still pretty sad to hear that he kind of isn't able anymore to make his business, and
I think the worst part about it is people are scalping EverDrives for thousands of dollars now. I think that's especially kind of gross, given the whole
that's
situation.
Totally crazy.
Yeah,
that's totally crazy.
Well, the same happened with the Super CPU and other stuff that became rare. So, yeah. Well, here's the thing. In my mind, I don't separate people by location, so I totally wasn't aware that he was in the Ukraine.
Just Ukraine, not the Ukraine.
Right.
But yeah, that's oof.
Well, I mean,
that's our moment of silence for the Ukraine right there. For Ukraine, Ukraine right there. Ugh.
Yeah. Sad story.
Yeah.
Indeed, and especially I think Crix is a guy who really did so much for the retro gaming scene, and that his business ends so abruptly, it's a tragedy, I think, and
I agree.
Just makes it even worse, everything, and really sad story.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's just interrupted. Perhaps things resolve in a way.
Hopefully, yeah. That's the best case scenario.
Huh.
Yeah.
But I wonder, is it really not the Ukraine? Because that is what we say in German.
No, it's just Ukraine.
I've actually known a lot of people who said the Ukraine whenever they were talking about it.
Yeah, it used to be the Ukraine. Yeah, when it was part of the Soviet Union, it was the Ukraine. But
okay, that explains it.
But now apparently it's it's considered an insult to say the Ukraine.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just Ukraine.
Huh. I see.
I've been corrected several times about that. That's why I know this. Because I keep saying the Ukraine as well.
They didn't tell me that at English lessons.
Well, probably because when you took English lessons, it was still the Ukraine.
No, it was the 90s. It was the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, well. Wasn't it 94 when they got separated?
I don't recall exactly.
It was 1990, wasn't it? I feel like it was like 90, 91.
You see? So that was before I had English lessons.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, we we were not supposed to talk about history, but anyway, it's well, this just shows how much international the retro scene really became, where you have people from all over the world, and suddenly you have a war in one situation, one part of the world, and then suddenly the source is becoming dry because
their current constitution, which took the out of Ukraine, was June of 1996.
1996. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good to know. Now we learned something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Getting back to what we were talking about, that is not political.
Yeah, well, we just derailed here.
Yeah. What else is new? Moment to capture our thoughts. Do you need a moment?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
I wonder how much time you spend creating one track. Do you have kind of time frame you can tell us, or is it always different from song to song?
I usually get a song done in 3 days. It usually doesn't take me that long at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you start and then it should be quickly done, and because the faster the better, yeah.
Oh yeah, because I have so many. I do work for so many different people, and they're constantly like waiting for stuff. So I do have to get stuff done in a very quick time frame.
I see. Okay, cool. Sounds good.
So you basically always have a flow of people who request music from you.
Yes.
Huh.
That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool. Interesting.
Are those contract works only for games? Because I wonder if there are really so many games being released that you have such an influx of orders.
Yes, pretty much all games. There was a couple of times where I did get some weird stuff, like someone wanted me to do something for a video or something, but most of the time it is just games.
Interesting. Do you know the demo scene?
Yes, I do. I am aware of the demo scene. I've always wanted to do some stuff for it, but no one's ever approached me about this stuff.
Yeah. You really should get into it, because I think there are indeed some demos for the Game Gear also. I'm not sure, and we in Germany have every year the demo scene party revision, where demos getting showed, and you really should check it out, because music for Game Gear demos is pretty rare, and I think your music would fit amazingly for some demos. And
thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Check it out.
You mean it would increase the quality of the demo?
Yes.
Totally. I think good music makes a good demo even better, and this is the interesting thing about demos, that they're a mix of various media artists, and everybody is doing his best, and it's a fascinating creative melting pot, and
especially since it stopped being, in the early days it was, look at this cool effect, and the music and graphics stuff didn't matter that much. Now it's become more of a multimedia presentation, where the graphics and the music and stuff really take, they are more kind of important than the effect that you're looking at.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Now that the hardware is pushed to the limit so much, they are not new world records anymore to achieve. So people are more focusing on the piece of the on the art piece as a whole.
Right.
You definitely should check it out. I think there are many demo groups who would love to have your music, and
Thank you. Yeah, I'd definitely
it
love
out.
to get involved in that stuff if people would message me about it.
Yeah.
yeah, totally.
Hey, dude, we could totally use her for some Scene World stuff.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it transports well to the SID, but
Well, I mean, again, you know, she's dabbled in the SID, so if I mean, it's.
I mean, yeah, I've dabbled in it a little bit, but I wouldn't say I'm necessarily good at it.
Gotta start
there's
somewhere.
always space to improve. you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, sure.
Well, at least I can say for myself, I'm not creative at all. So I always admire people like yourself and Dennis who can create something nice. But perhaps Dennis should put you in touch with some demo scene groups who need better music.
Which are most of them.
I can send you some links to some interesting groups, like, for example, Titan or others from Germany that are pushing boundaries with every demo.
That would be really cool if you could do that. Yeah, I'd love
I'm
to get
gonna send along some links, and you're gonna check it out. And the guys are all pretty cool, and they would love to get in touch. And so just connect things and make the best out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I totally have to admit I never checked out Master System or Game Gear demos.
Yeah,
so I
neither
feel
have
like I missed out.
I've seen a couple of them. They're like I've seen some good ones with good music as well.
Yeah, there are indeed some interesting demos, and I think the demos for such uncommon systems are pretty cool because the people are pushing the limits there, and
Genesis Project does them.
Yeah, Genesis Project. Yeah, they're very good.
I know them.
Pretty good.
It's the same group also active on the Commodore 64?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Oh, that's actually pretty cool.
You're checking it right now.
I am looking at it right now.
Yeah.
There are indeed some groups that are very focusing on retro systems and making amazing stuff. I'm very curious what they're gonna put out on the upcoming revision party. I think it's in April, right? Yeah.
Yes. It's always on Easter, and Easter this year is in April, so definitely.
Yeah. So it's always a pleasure to check out these demos, and looking very forward.
I'm seeing here we are getting Polaria to be a demo scener musician after this podcast interview.
I'd love to do that. It'd be fun.
Check it out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that is true, but I always heard that there should be more people working on demos, actually working on games, because the skills in music and graphics are so much better by the demo makers than by game makers. But I don't know if that's actually true, because I mean, right now we have the other case. Polaria is doing music for games, not for demos, and we are talking it the other way around. But
it depends. It depends because a lot of musicians and graphics guys are, they go straight from demo to game. There's a lot of that in between this. Whereas coding is, the demo coder doesn't necessarily code a game, and so you get a different set of variables in that. So like the music is often, your own tell doing music for games and then demos and stuff.
Exactly. He came from the game business, right. And when he finished with his last official commercial 64 game, which was Lemmings, he became a composer for demo scene.
Right.
So actually, actually good examples there.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think a lot of times though in the game scene there's more of a God. There were so many games where it's like like Thundercats or something, where you load it up and it's like a RoboCop and it's like the music kicks on and it's like, what the hell is this? Like, it's good music, but it's not something that makes you think Thundercats or RoboCop.
Well, I think it's a huge problem with Tim Follin's music, if you're familiar with the stuff he did for the NES.
Oh, totally.
Because if you ever heard a Pictionary soundtrack, it's kind of ridiculous. It's kind of like this very insane, very rockin' tune, and it's like for a game of Pictionary. It's like it's great music, but it's very unfitting for the game it's for.
Right.
Yeah, but for the NES, for example, you have also, I guess, for the Master System and for the Mega Drive, you have some weird cases. For example, you mentioned RoboCop. Mm-hmm. RoboCop 3 is one of the most prolific game musics that Joerg ever did.
Oh no, it's a great song, but it doesn't make you think RoboCop. Exactly.
And here's the thing. I bought the European release of RoboCop, right?
Yeah.
And Joerg is a Dutch guy. So you would think that the company made it right? So you have the PAL version of the game and the PAL song. Perfect. No, what they actually did is they took the American version of RoboCop 3, which was the original release, coded in a playing routine that would speed up Joerg's tune so it would sound correctly on NTSC, but for the PAL release, they didn't undo the playing routine fix. That means on the PAL release, the tune is running too slow.
Yeah.
And when you put, and I tried it, when you put in the cartridge of the European release on an American NES, the game crashes because the graphic routines are fixed on the other timing. That doesn't work anymore. So the music plays but the game crashes in the middle.
Yeah.
So this is actually reminded me of the Commodore 64 game system, if you guys know what that is.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
oh, yes.
GS, I have it too. Yeah, I have it too. Yeah. That's it's totally weird to hire somebody from Europe, fix it for Americans, and on the PAL release, not fix it. It's totally weird. So
there was a game too that where you had to hit a button to continue, and there were no buttons on the thing.
Because it was originally designed for a keyboard.
Right.
But it's they didn't actually take into account that you only had 2 buttons.
Right. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
And the story goes so far that the GS actually sold so badly that they reused the GSs in real Commodore 64, and so later on they turned into real Z64s.
Really?
That's
I thought the board was slightly different.
I don't know. It's a rumor. I don't know what's true there, but.
I remember hearing that too, but something I do find kind of interesting is apparently the Commodore 64 GS is the worst selling console of all time.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
So it only sold 12,000 units or something. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it's utter trash.
And it's basically, it was only sold in numbers in UK and Norway.
Okay, no, it is the same exact thing. It just doesn't have a keyboard header on it. There's no pins for the keyboard. Yeah. And it's still got a user port and a cassette port. There's just no access to them.
Right.
And and the cartridge port is put on a 90-degree angle. So
yeah.
So
and they recycled that.
Yeah.
They recycled those machines and made out of them real Z64s.
Yeah, it's a 252311 Rev B.
You see,
we're getting dorky here.
Yeah.
We
are nerding out together with our guests.
It's a short board. It's a short board with the ports blocked off.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Alrighty. So,
Magic.
I mean, can we talk about your plans, Polaria? If you have any plans that you can talk about that is not under NDA, if there is something.
Probably nothing I can talk about now.
Okay, that's nothing you can talk about. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about that, but when Denis had the idea to invite you, I think it was you, Denis, because he said like, "Oh, that's awesome! Somebody who composes on the Master System," and so I'm glad we are doing this interview now, and everything turned out well.
True, true, yeah, it's true, it's true.
That is what I can say about it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is really fun. I'm definitely glad I got to do this.
Is there something you personally want to do next? I mean, apart from contract work, is there something you would like to work on?
I've briefly considered doing an album, but I don't know if it's like something I really want to do. I feel like my place is really just doing video game music because that's just kind of like what I like to do, if that makes sense.
Makes great sense. I think it's pretty cool to hear that you are so into it, and I think again it's a pretty unique thing that you're producing for these systems, and so just keep up the good work. And
oh, thank you.
amazing.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I guess where can people go to find out about what you're doing? And
definitely Twitter, because that's definitely where I post stuff about what I'm working on when I'm not making stupid tweets anyway.
Already followed you.
Okay, thanks.
And you're also on Bandcamp and SoundCloud.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Although I haven't uploaded in either of those in quite a while. I should probably do that.
Cool.
Perhaps you should. I mean, I reposted and liked some of your stuff on SoundCloud, so it's.
Oh yeah, thank you. I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have to prepare for the interview, of course, but I was like, wow, this is really cool, you know. So, really, really awesome. I'm really into chip music. And,
yeah, I'm glad. I think it's really cool art form.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We will put links to everything in the podcast description so people can follow along. And
okay, cool.
So, thanks for sitting with us.
Yes,
and,
indeed.
Yeah, of course. This is fun. This is really fun.
Yeah.
So, I guess the next time we hear from you is probably the music in Peprium on the Game Gear.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I ordered it already, so I should get it.
There you go.
And on a personal note, I'm listening to your sound sampler that was put on SoundCloud constantly. It's really awesome.
That's really flattering. Yeah, people seem to really like that one.
Especially your rendition of Trance. That's like super awesome.
Yeah, I actually have all those songs done for the game already.
Wow.
So I guess you'll have to listen for them when they come out.
I wish I could listen to Trance, but I only have this little few seconds. I'm like, oh my god, I'm constantly listening to it in a loop because that's like from this sampler, that's like the best part of it. Just telling you as a fan.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I definitely had to do some weird stuff to get that sound. Like, there's like some 50%, there's some like 25% pulses going on, which is not normal for a Master System, and then it briefly like phases into each other. It's a very unusual sound. Like you'd never actually hear that in a commercial game. At least like all the systems were like relevant. Yeah.
That's very interesting. So you're really pushing the PSG's chip to the max.
Yeah, I do all sorts of weird stuff like that. It's not very like common or well-known knowledge when it comes to like doing that.
Yeah, the PSG chip is burning while you're doing the music.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure if I counted that correctly, but I think the Peprium soundtrack on the Mega Drive has like 32 channels.
Yes, it does, which is way beyond what a Genesis could actually do. Like, I've actually gotten the privilege of looking at the modules themselves, and they use some weird sound expansion Like it's not like just a Genesis sound chip. It's some like sound chip they made exclusively for the game.
Right. So it's especially impressive that you had a piece like like trance.
Breathe.
Sorry, that you have something like trance and still make it recognizable by I don't know how many voices does the Game Gear has? It's like 3.
It has 3 voices and it has the noise channel. So yeah, it is quite amazing that I was able to like get all those channels down to just 4.
Awesome, yeah. Wow. So the soundtrack will be totally stunning.
Yeah.
Once the game is out.
I hope so. I certainly hope people like it because I spent a lot of work on it. I definitely worked pretty hard on it.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Interesting.
Well, just wanted to say, because now that I have the chance to talk to you, I wanted to give you direct feedback to my opinion about the soundtrack.
It's very flattering. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
I mean, I was thinking, who else could do it? And I'm like, there is nobody else who could do it like that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm pretty much the resident Master System composer. Whenever people need music done for games, they kind of go to me. So.
Awesome.
Cool.
Wonderful.
Excellent. All right,
well, so that would be it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really fun.
Yeah, thanks for sitting with us.
Yeah, of course.
I learned a lot today.
Very interesting stuff. Great work.
Yeah.
Yes. So have a nice afternoon, I would say, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you guys too.
Thank you.
Right, thank you
We will
much.
let you know
yeah,
when we release this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, see you.
Yeah, thank you very
Welcome.
much.
Bye-bye.